years now. It's been since April of 18, and how I got into it, for most of my life, I was kind of documenting my life and taking different pictures from Polaroids when I was a kid, to when I first had my cell phone camera when I was like 17. I had this, I think it was the second cell phone camera that came out, and I just started taking tons of pictures. Of course, the iPhone came out, I had like 80,000 photos in like 2 or 3 years or something. And so I had to have all these expensive plans. And little did I know, though, that would be nothing compared to when I actually got into photography, and where I ended up shooting 1.2 million photos in like 5 years. And if anyone knows, it's pretty crazy to go through 1.2 million photos. It takes a little bit of time, especially when you're taking maybe 10 photos a second of different facial expressions of a bird, or whichever wing positions that it happens to have. So that's some of the early things early on that I struggled with, was taking too many photos, not really being artistic about it, and really just documenting everything. But it evolved from there, and I started to turn it into fine art as I evolved. And how I started out, though, was I volunteered with local organizations in our area. So I started volunteering with Crew Land and Water Trust in Bonita about 9 years ago, and I also did Corkscrew Swamp Sanctuary, Audubon, and Florida Wildlife. So I did probably dozens of different things for all these different organizations, from bird counts to just being like a ranger for them in the park, helping people out, find places, cleaning things up, creating my own trails. So Bonita Springs, I created, helped out with the Red Trail and the Orange Trail at Cruz Flint Pen Strand. So I carried over my shoulder 50-pound wooden, pretty much like pilings to put it in the ground. I had to go dig 2-foot holes. So I did this for miles down trails, and I was the only young volunteer, so I was the one to do it. Yeah, just to let you know. So that was me, hopefully someone enjoys those trails. That's my hope. That's a Crew Land and Water Trust. Yeah, and so I do mostly wildlife, nature. I try to, for most of my career, I excluded man-made objects, and the reason is because I wanted to focus on more of nature and less on man. However, there are a few exceptions that I have, which was the original Naples Pier. I have a lightning shot here at the old pilings in Naples from way back when, the wooden pilings, which I've heard a lot of those are now no longer looking like they do in my image. And then of course I have behind me here, the Naples Pier, one of my images I took. This is, I think, 2021 or 2020. So this was, of course, before the hurricane 2 years ago, and unfortunately it was destroyed. So that's kind of giving you an idea of my background. I love birds. Florida, we have birds. Owls are kind of one of my specialties, and I focus a lot on baby birds and kind of their first stages of their flying, fledging, leaving the nest, and all that kind of stuff. So
tell them that story about the birds that bit the crocodile.
Yes. Okay. So I do want to share. This is what really got me hooked. So my first month of photography, April 2018. I had just bought a mirrorless camera that shot like 10 frames a second, so you just hold it down and just, and you don't even know what you have. You got to go back and look at it afterwards. So I went to Corkscrew Swamp Sanctuary, and it happened to be during what's called like a dry down period. And there's also what happens what's called a feeding frenzy. So there's these pools, the last little 2 lakes that are left there at Corkscrew Swamp. All the fish are kind of concentrated, they can't really go anywhere. So all the birds, all the alligators go in there. They go sit in this little area, and they're all hunting together. And they're not hunting, the birds are not being hunted by the alligators. The birds and the alligators are hunting the fish, because there's just thousands and thousands of them. It's really easy. So they're just cleaning up every day for multiple days. Well, I started to see something interesting that piqued my interest, and I didn't know what was going on at that time. So what I saw these crazy pink birds, like this one right here, the roseate spoonbill. So what I saw was these roseate spoonbills right next to the boardwalk. They were in shallow water with these baby alligators that were 1 year old. They were about 12 inches, 14 inches long. And they would go behind the alligators, and they would pinch the alligator's tail. And then what would happen is the baby alligator would move forward and move in kind of like a zigzag pattern through the buck. And so it would kick up the crustaceans underneath and the bugs. And then the spoonbills would sweep up right behind them and get the free meal without having to dig them up themselves. Yeah. So I thought it was the craziest thing. And so I was lucky enough, I got videos of it. Now, unfortunately, I submitted these videos for Planet Earth 3 for when they were doing swamps, and some also for Audubon research for the state of Florida. Unfortunately, they didn't think what I thought as far as that the spoonbills were actually doing this intentionally. So I didn't get the research for it. I wish I could have. And unfortunately, because I was still on a technical level, figuring things out, like 2 weeks in for photography, I was blowing out some of the whites and losing some of the detail on the spoonbills. But I do have footage of the spoonbills doing that, and then I have an image that I took of a spoonbill actually, an alligator, one of the baby alligators got upset, and it snapped back at the spoonbill after it pinched its tail, and then the spoonbill just kind of popped up in the air. And so I have that image.
The moral is, don't buy an alligator, right?
Yes. Unless you're a pink bird, don't mess with alligators. That's the moral of the story.
Did you talk about the sizes, your aluminum versus canvas?
Yeah, so I do offer a variety of different prints for my photography. All of these here are on aluminum, and these can go up to 72 inches on the long end. And then I also offer canvases as well. So these are examples of my canvases. Same thing with my canvases. And these are gonna be more like Michael's paintings, just to kind of give you an idea. Well, not really. They're not as nice as his paintings.
Where's that
Yes.
art or something?
So that photo at the very bottom is, yeah,
I saw that one first too, Rachel, that looks
Oh,
like,
yeah.
is this real?
this is the one that got Michael's attention, just in case everyone wants to know. So this is the first one I pulled out when I came through. This is a place in western Alberta, Canada. And it's in a place called Banff. Banff is a national park.
I was just in Banff, as I thought, I recognized.
And it's incredible. So this, everyone knows Banff, that knows Banff, they know Moraine Lake, they know Lake Louise,
Yeah.
and maybe a few other places. But this is a little lesser known place, and this is called Sunshine Meadows. And so there's 2 ways to get to this top of the mountain here. You can hike 3.5 hours up and 3.5 down, or you could take 2 gondola rides up, which most people do that.
Yeah.
So you get to the top here, these are, in my opinion, the most expansive views in all of Canada. And you can literally look almost any side of the mountain and you won't see almost anything except for this open land.
Yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
it's incredible. And so I would urge you, if you're in Canada, in Alberta, you should check out Sunshine Meadows, especially the summertime. I go in the summertime. I think July is the best, or June. And
Winter's pretty good too.
Yeah, well,
Great skiing.
I don't know about
The
that.
skiing is unbelievable. But it's gonna be here.
Yeah, so I go hiking in Canada, and that's kind of also how I got started. Was I started hiking in Canada, and I came down here and I started hiking the trails at Crew Land and Water Trust, which I then started volunteering
Yeah,
with.
yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and so that's how I got into photography, and so thank you all so much for